This is the story of how scientists just solved a 75-year-old mystery about why we gain weight and can't lose it. For decades, researchers have known that our fat cells communicate with our brains, but they never understood exactly what messages were being sent or why those messages go wrong in obesity. What they discovered will change how we think about weight loss forever. Your fat cells are literally writing letters to your brain, and the contents of those letters determine whether you feel hungry or satisfied, whether your metabolism runs fast or slow, and whether you stay lean or gain weight. But here's the shocking part. In obesity, these letters get rewritten with the wrong message. The 75-year journey to this discovery. Back in 1949, researchers at Jackson Laboratory were working with mice when they stumbled onto something extraordinary. Some of their mice had a genetic mutation that caused them to balloon up to enormous sizes, and these weren't just chubby mice. They developed severe obesity because their fat cells had forgotten how to tell their brains to stop eating. 45 years passed before scientists figured out what was missing. Jeffrey M. Friedman at Rockefeller University identified the culprit in 1994, a hormone called leptin that your fat cells produce to signal your brain that you have enough energy stored and should stop eating. Think of it as your body's natural appetite suppressant and metabolism booster rolled into one. The discovery seemed like a miracle cure because when you give leptin to mice or people who can't make it, their obesity reverses completely. Scientists thought they'd solved the obesity epidemic, but there was a problem, and it was a big one. The leptin paradox that stumped science. When researchers tried giving leptin to people with regular diet-induced obesity, the kind that affects most of us, it didn't work. And this made no sense because these people actually had higher leptin levels than lean people, not lower ones. Here's what was happening. In 90% of obesity cases, the brain becomes resistant to leptin, like the brain puts on noise-cancelling headphones and stops listening to the I'm full signals from fat cells. Leptin levels go up, but the brain acts like it's starving. So you stay hungry, your metabolism slows down, and you gain more weight. From 1949 to 2025, scientists have been trying to crack this code, asking why the brain stops listening to leptin, what causes leptin resistance, and most importantly, can it be reversed? The breakthrough: fat cells write letters. This year, researchers in Jeffrey Friedman's lab at Rockefeller University finally found the answer, and it's more fascinating than anyone imagined. Your fat cells don't just produce leptin, they also send detailed letters to your brain, and these aren't metaphorical letters, but actual physical packages called extracellular vesicles that travel through your bloodstream and deliver messages directly to your brain. The research team, led by graduate student Bowen Tan and research specialist Christina Hedbacker, discovered this by studying mice that couldn't send these letters. When they knocked out the fat cell's ability to mail these packages to the brain, the mice gained weight rapidly, became hungrier, ate more, and their metabolism slowed down, which are classic signs of leptin resistance. But here's where it gets really interesting. When they took letters from healthy lean mice and gave them to the obese mice that couldn't make their own letters, the obese mice lost fat rapidly. The treatment worked like magic, but only when they used letters from lean animals, because when they tried the same experiment using letters from mice that had become obese through diet, the therapy failed completely. What's actually written in these letters? So what exactly is inside these letters that makes such a dramatic difference? The message is written in a molecular code called microRNA, which are small strings of genetic material that don't make proteins but instead act as instructions that modify how genes work. In healthy, lean individuals, fat cells send letters packed with beneficial microRNAs that maintain leptin sensitivity. And these molecules have boring scientific names like MIR148A3P, but their effects are extraordinary because they enhance leptin sensitivity and suppress obesity. But in diet-induced obesity, the message gets rewritten. The beneficial microRNAs that fight leptin resistance decrease, while harmful ones that promote leptin resistance increase. It's like your fat cells switch from writing encouraging letters to writing discouraging ones. And the researchers proved this pattern exists in humans too by studying over 100 people across the weight spectrum. People with BM is above 25 had depleted levels of the beneficial microRNAs, and the higher the BMI, the fewer good messages their fat cells were sending to their brains. The letters actually reach your brain. Now, you might be wondering whether these letters actually make it to the brain, and the researchers wanted to prove this. So they created mice whose letters carried a fluorescent red tag. When they scanned these mice to see where the signal ended up, their brains lit up like Times Square, providing clear, direct evidence that these molecular letters travel from fat cells straight to the command center of appetite and metabolism. Even more remarkably, these letters work across species, which means the researchers could take letters from lean humans and give them to obese mice, and the mice would lose fat. This tells us that this communication system is fundamental to how mammals regulate weight and has been conserved through millions of years of evolution. Why this happens and how to fix it. The researchers dug deeper to understand exactly how these corrupted letters cause leptin resistance and found that in obesity, 2 amino acids, methionine and leucine, become dysregulated in response to leptin. These amino acids activate a signaling molecule called mTOR, and when mTOR becomes hyperactive in specific brain regions, it causes leptin resistance. But here's the exciting part. They found a way to reverse it using a drug called rapamycin, which inhibits mTOR, and they restored leptin sensitivity in obese mice. The mice lost significant amounts of weight, and remarkably, the weight loss was almost entirely fat, not muscle, which is unusual because most weight loss methods cause you to lose both fat and muscle, but restoring leptin sensitivity specifically targets fat stores. The drug worked by targeting specific neurons in the hypothalamus called POMC neurons, which are the exact brain cells that mediate leptin's weight-reducing effects. As researcher Christina Hedbacker explained, we found that rapamycin reduced mTOR in POMC neurons and restored their receptivity, essentially resensitizing the animals to leptin, the human connection. This isn't just a mouse story because the researchers found that when human patients undergo bariatric surgery and lose significant weight, their levels of beneficial microRNAs increase, promoting leptin sensitivity and fighting leptin resistance. This suggests that the corrupted letter system can be rewritten in humans too, and the team even demonstrated that they could synthesize the beneficial microRNAs in the lab, package them into artificial letters, and use them to reverse obesity in animals. It's a glimpse of what future treatments might look like, where instead of bypassing broken systems with drugs, we could fix the underlying communication breakdown between fat cells and the brain. Why this changes everything. This discovery is fundamentally different from current weight loss approaches because drugs like Ozempic work by flooding your system with hormones at super high doses to override your body's signals. But this new research identifies and potentially fixes the root cause of why those signals go wrong in the first place. As Bowentan noted, before our research, the cause of obesity in diet-induced obese mice was unknown, leaving a critical gap in our understanding of how leptin resistance develops and how it can be reversed. Think about what this means for the millions of people struggling with weight, because for 75 years we've known that leptin should be the body's natural weight control system, but we couldn't use it therapeutically because of leptin resistance. Now we understand that leptin resistance isn't a permanent condition, but is caused by corrupted messages that can potentially be rewritten. The road ahead. We're still in the early stages of translating this discovery into treatments for humans, and the researchers are working on developing ways to inhibit mTOR specifically in the brain regions that control appetite, rather than using systemic drugs that might have side effects. They're also investigating why high-fat diets cause these molecular letters to be rewritten in the first place, and understanding this could lead to prevention strategies, not just treatments. But the implications go beyond just obesity, because this research provides a new framework for understanding hormone resistance syndromes in general. And just as this work illuminates leptin resistance, similar mechanisms might explain insulin resistance in diabetes or other metabolic disorders. What this means for you. If you're someone who's struggled with weight loss, this research offers hope that goes beyond just another diet or drug, because it suggests that the reason you feel hungry even when you should feel full, the reason your metabolism seems sluggish, might not be a failure of willpower, but corrupted molecular messages that could someday be fixed. The evolutionary context helps us understand this better, because our leptin system evolved during times when humans regularly faced starvation, and the ability to store fat and conserve energy was a survival advantage. But now, in an environment with constant access to high-calorie foods, that same system works against us, and your brain is still running on ancient programming, designed for a world of scarcity, not abundance. When the molecular letters from your fat cells get corrupted by modern diets, your brain thinks you're starving even when you're not, driving you to eat more and store more fat. The bigger picture. This 75-year journey from accidental discovery to breakthrough solution shows us something profound about scientific progress, because sometimes the most important discoveries come from understanding not just what's broken, but how the communication systems that should fix it have gone awry. For decades, obesity research focused on finding new ways to suppress appetite or boost metabolism, but this research suggests a different approach. Restore the natural communication between fat cells and brain that evolution designed to keep us at a healthy weight. As Christina Hedbacker put it, even though Jeff Friedman discovered this powerful hormone back in 1994, its full potential to help people lose weight hasn't been realized, because most obese patients have acquired resistance to leptin. It's really exciting to think that there may be means for addressing this. Conclusion. The secret letters your fat cells send to your brain have been hiding in plain sight for 75 years, and now that we can read them, we understand why 90% of obesity cases involve the same fundamental problem. The brain stops listening to the body's natural weight control signals because the messages themselves have been corrupted. This isn't just another weight loss discovery, but a potential solution to one of the most persistent health challenges of our time. And by learning to rewrite these molecular letters, we might finally be able to restore the natural communication system that should keep us lean and healthy. The next time you feel hungry, even after eating, or wonder why your metabolism seems slow, remember that there might be corrupted letters traveling from your fat cells to your brain, carrying the wrong message. But for the first time in 75 years, we're learning how your body can write the right message again.